Okay, I had to come out in the desert today to tell you about something very important. See, this is your life on Mother Earth, and I'm saying that we are living in the untruth of Bud Light advertising. Earth. This is your life on Mother Earth, and I'm saying that we are living in the untruth of Bud Light advertising.
This is my dad, Daniel Q. Bogie. He loved to play around, even riding on a tricycle, goofing off. But he was an amazing inventor. He invented something called the trash compactor that could compress the garbage coming through an apartment building chute or a factory, big box store, compress it to a tighter mass than if you actually burned it. And this was a big revolution in landfill because it was a way to reduce the amount of matter in the landfill. And he had a maraschino cherry perfumer as part of it. This thing was amazing. It was hydraulic. He worked to make that invention happen. So this is why I'm telling you this story. His invention in the 1960s, late 60s, then became something that other inventors, other people patenting inventions reference. And it formed kind of an increasing spiral of more and more inventions on up through, I traced it up through 2013, but it continues to this day. Everybody is citing his patents.
Okay, I'm here to tell you about something called Onto story. So let me start. I'm going to sit on this tire somebody's tossed in the desert here. And the Onto story is the ontological story of things. Now, as William James said in his book on pragmatism, things tell a story. Bottle. What's smart about plastic bottle? What's smart water? Is this smart? Let me argue some true storytelling. I'm going to argue that perhaps many of you, perhaps most of you, live in untruth. If we take this container, this gallon jug, and say this is all the water in the world, we'd be pretty accurate because all the water that ever was in the world is still here. I like to call it dinosaur pee because the dinosaurs were peeing in that water long before we ever came on the earth, and that same water is still here. Did a presentation to that yesterday, that ocean water is 97.5% of the water in the world. So you can't drink ocean water, you'd die. It's all salty. Then you got 2.0%, 2% of the water, all the water in the world is frozen in glaciers and ice. And thank goodness, because you don't want to release all that CO2, but you can't drink it because it's frozen in ice. So that leaves the water up here in the neck of the bottle that is actually the fresh water that you could consume. And it's about the size of this shot glass. So let me give you a demonstration. So you think a lot of water is in lakes, Great Lakes? You think a lot of water is in the rivers? Yeah. You think we get a lot of rainwater? Okay. You think dams and reservoirs, they back up a lot of water? But look, the shot glass is not full, so there's other water that's here. It's called groundwater. So the rest of the shot glass, the rest of that 0.5%, which is a very little amount of fresh water in the world, it is groundwater. And underneath the ground here of the desert are all kinds of aquifers. I'm standing on a huge aquifer that's draining quickly. It drains all the time into the Rio Grande River. And water's always moving. Water's alive in many ways. Without water, none of these bushes, trees, shrubs that are here would happen. And that tree wouldn't happen. There's not that many trees left here because people are poor in New Mexico and they chop them down and cut them up around here for firewood. This is a pond. This is living nature. I come here sometimes and film dragonflies. Right over here, I saw the most magnificent 30-foot spiraling dragonflies mating, eating the larvae from the pond. Imagine this all full of water. It only fills up for a few days of the year when there's like these torrential rains, these downpours, cloudbursts that fill up the pond. And then things that are dormant under the ground, like all kinds of things, come up and live. They're like shrimp and crab looking things. And then the frogs lay their eggs, and the turtles, and everybody comes, and there's life, and all kinds of, I don't know, fly larvae or whatever the dragonflies are eating. Well, how can you come in the middle of that and put your dirty rags, your trash, your beer, your picnic plates, your soft soap bottles? I'll tell you why. Because New Mexico's poor and the county can't afford to have people that are poor take their trash to the landfill or to the recycling centers, so they instead dump it in the desert here. The other thing, I think there's something wrong with the education system that allows this kind of ontostory. Ontostory is vibrant matter. All this matter has life in it. Originally it was from nature, from oil, from iron, making glass. This stone here, this concrete. Concrete is one of the huge polluters of the planet. Now you've got this. This is your life on Mother Earth. This is your life on Mother Earth. And I'm saying that we are living in the untruth of Bud Light advertising. We're living in the untruth. Truly we are. This hard seltzer truly can. Because living in untruth of the marketing and advertising of the world, we forget that it takes 3 feed waters and 1/4 bottle of leaking oil. It's always leaking, is it not? To make 1 bottle of water. That's a 2,000% markup from the cost of your tap water, where real people are doing real tests, not marketing propaganda, about giving you the best water you can drink. But put it in a bottle. Put it in a bottle like this, right, that a friend of mine gave me. You can't afford one of those bottled waters? Get a mason jar from your old mushroom and ripe olive tomato sauce. Comes in a mason jar. That's what I drink my water out of. Anyway, so I hope that gives you some idea of what an ontostory is. It's defined as the configuration of things, each of which has a story to tell, but together that assemblage is telling an amazing story if we can notice it. And if you put this ontostory of this burning pile of tires and plastic and glass and wire and metal, if you put that in the context of this living system out here in the New Mexico desert, and you get some idea of the struggle for survival. I'm tangling here in the wire from a burnt tire. and nature is becoming so entangled in our garbage. My dad is rolling over in his grave at what we continue to do to the environment when his invention, his entrepreneurship was to be able to condense all of those plastic and trash to less than the size as if you had burned it like this. He could actually compress it to less mass than this. And I'm just amazed. I'm going to say that I have forgiveness for everybody that has come out here. And I was a teenager, I'm 72, I was a teenager, and I used to come out and have a good time. But my dad taught me to take your plastic, your beer cans, your beer bottles, your tires, take them where they belong, get them into the recycling stream. Otherwise, the consequences of the story I've told you, which is about true storytelling, see the blog truestorytelling.blog, and you'll see that our being in the world in untruth, and we also are being in the world of truth, and the two are happening at the same time. And all of our storytelling can learn a lot from Jane Bennett's Onto story, from Bruno Latour's Assemblage, from Karen Barad's Agential Realism, Posthumanism, because we live in a social material world that we continue to trash. So take care of the water and it will take care of us all. Take care of this pond and it will nourish all of the nature, the birds, the eagles that come here, the migrating bird population, the Swenson hawks, the dragonflies, the turtles. There's life here. There's life here in the desert. Thank you.